Hey guys, this is Strong K and welcome to my first impressions of 30 Flights of Loving. For those of you who remember this game that was released a couple of years ago, a freeware game called Gravity Bone, which is actually right here, comes with, if you purchase 30 Flights of Loving, comes with Gravity Bone. 30 Flights of Loving actually is the successor to Gravity Bone. Not only the spiritual successor, I'm going to talk, in a little while, in a little moment, why that is. But basically designed by the same person, Brandon Chung, aka Blendo Games. As far as I know, this is a one-man enterprise. Also, programmed with the Quake 2 engine. So, you have like here the WASD movement, and the mouse, lets you look around, and by pressing the left mouse button you can interact. You can use the things you're holding, and by E you can interact with the environment. Not unlike Gravity Bone, it's also set like thematically and sort of like a spy kind of, environment. Takes place, I think, in a central south, at least Latin American country. Somewhat, takes place in the 50s, but it's like a sci-fi version of the 50s. You have a mecha president. Gravity One was sort of like that, if you remember the first mission with the bug that you had to plant. You know what I'm talking about here. Yeah, so again, we're a member of some secret organization. I'm not really sure which or what our goals are. Basically, we hide in, inaccessible remote locations, such as this one. Look at this. This is our crack team of, I don't know, saboteurs or agents, spies. I have no clue. Also, moonlights as a confectioner. And Borges here. This was Anita, by the way. Borges here. And the best man. Okay. Right. So what's actually interesting about this game is that it is one of the first games, I think, at least to my knowledge, that have been not only completely funded through Kickstarter, the Kickstarter platform, but also sort of, came to fruition, like saw the light of day, and are actually, available now. This is available either on Steam or directly, DRM-free on the Blendo Games website. I think the asking price is $5 right now. Right, and it is actually different from Gravity Bone. I'm going to talk in a little while how it is different and why, and what that actually means and does to the game. Okay, let me pick you up, buddy. Gonna get you to safety here. So this is basically how 30 Flights of Loving tells its story, basically through like cuts, little snippets, if you will, of the story, which you then can piece together. I think it really works. I think it's really interesting, allows for some really interesting storytelling effects. I'm not going to talk too much about it, because first of all, the game is pretty short, and second of all, I don't want to spoil, too much of the game, specifically because it is so short. But I really like what the game, attempts, or where this game goes, like what this game goes for here, like the storytelling. And that's actually, it's like a strong point of the whole enterprise here. Right, so basically how this came to be, just to finish this part of my first impressions, the guys at Idle Thumbs, this gaming blog, got in touch with Brandon Chung, and basically were, listen, there's this new platform out there called Kickstarter, where, indie games, like indie projects, basically not only relegated to the realm of video game design, but more generally speaking, I think if you have not been like in a involved in a severe car accident and just awoken from your artificially induced coma, you know what Kickstarter is all about. So basically they said, listen, why don't you design a game that we can like fund through this crowdsourcing platform? And it actually worked. This is the fruit of their work and their labor. So yeah, for everybody that threw and not insubstantial amount of money, at Double Fine Productions, or like Tim Schafer's new adventure, count me in there actually. You know, it's kind of like good to see that actually this can amount to something. Let me put it that way. All right. So and this is basically how this game came to be. Now the thing is that, like I said, this is really different. It's a different experience from Gravity Bone, you know. And speaking of which, remember her? Okay. So we're at this wedding now here, you know, placing the thing. My condolences, by the way. So how is this different from Gravity Bone? Well, basically, for those of you who've played Gravity Bone, you know what it did pretty well. Actually, we can sit down here right now. I'm not going to do this because this is going to further unfold the story, and I want to avoid that, you know, lest I spoil anything. So what Gravity Bone did is like it really, and for that reason it also made sense, you know, that it was made with the Quake 2 engine. It really played with the whole, you know, gameplay, like your expectations as a player, you know, what's going to happen, how those games or the stories in games progress. And I think it did a really excellent job, you know, at doing that. It really stumped you as a player. It's like, what the frick is going on here? Good job, great job. Now this is different insofar as this feels or plays more of like an interactive story or interactive, you know, short film of sorts. So you know, it's not so much like a gaming experiment. It's like a storytelling through the medium of video games kind of thing. Let me just stand next to our married couple here. So oh, check this out, Panther Pilsner. Should I say it's made with bits of real panther? I think I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, so yeah, for this, like, you know, or due to this being actually the case, this game has a pretty high replay value. You know, not necessarily because you have a lot of options or a lot of stuff that you can choose from, you know, that's going to alter the story so much, but, you know, as you play through and you know what's going to come, you can reevaluate what you have already seen and, you know, piece together what's going on. You know, it's like form a big picture, and I think this is what this game does really well. I've read one critic saying that, you know, 30 Flights of Loving actually is able to, you know, compress, if you will, or to put more storytelling into 13 minutes than other video games, you know, manage to do in 13 hours, which I think is really true, and it's really interesting, you know, to see how this is done. Like I said, those you know, those snippets, those flashbacks or flash forwards, you know, you figure out which it is, you know, does a lot to that. So yeah, it's a cool experiment. I like it. You know, I really expected it to be a longer Gravity Bone, which is clearly not. Still very good. You know, $5 well spent. You could do a lot worse with that. So yeah, my thumbs are up for this one. Okay, so I hope you find this at least, you know, mildly entertaining. I try to not show off too much of it. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on my channel soon. Alright, thanks.